Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because just recently I talked about GitHub Launcher, a static recomp and PC port launcher that makes it easier to get into some of these games because I know sometimes you guys have trouble getting them set up. When I talked about that, I said that it didn't have every single Xbox 360 static recompilation included, so today we're talking about Goopie Launcher, Goopie, and that's because it is based upon RexGlue and the static recomps being made with that tool. And honestly, even though there's more than one launcher, and I would love to see them all combined together into one master launcher so you can find absolutely everything, getting something like this is going to make it easier for you to get some of these 360 recomps actually running, because I will say even I get tripped up every once in a while when it comes to getting every single thing working correctly, and sometimes it takes me 45 minutes or an hour to actually get to the stage where I'm capturing footage. So any sort of tool that's going to make it easier for people to just sit down and enjoy the games is definitely something I'm going to want to talk about, because I totally understand that what I know might not be what you know. So if it's easier to make it so that you can play these games without thinking about it, it's definitely something I want to advocate for and talk about. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And even though Xbox 360 static recomps are just kind of getting started with RexGlue, which uses Xenia underpinning the video and audio, even though it can actually be improved versus standard Xenia Canary, it's one of those things you're going to see a lot more of these projects in the future. We're definitely all going to be better for it. Now taking a look at Goopie Launcher, you'll see here it doesn't include every single Xbox 360 recomp, nor does GitHub Launcher. I'm sure it's one of those things maybe developers ask to be included when they feel like their project is far enough along so that people are going to be able to sit down, play it, and enjoy it. So I will still leave the link to all of the different static recomps and PC ports down below so you can find the Xbox 360 recomps that are not included in either of these launchers. But as you go through the Goopie Launcher here, you have your home page, kind of just a fun graphic, and hopefully we see more games included in the future, but it really is kind of the library where you're going to be able to make everything that much easier. And you'll even see there is a news tab so you can get information on what might be going on, but again, maybe not the most updated thing in the world. And under the settings tab here, you're going to see you have your directory where everything's going to be installed. You can change your theming around and kind of make the launcher look like whatever you want it to look like. You can even get a frame rate counter if you're testing to see how the games are running, because again, not every single game here is going to be perfect. It also has Discord integration as well as a link or button so you can go to the GitHub page of all of the different projects. But you'll see here something like Banjo-Kazooie, you go ahead and give it your legally owned disk image. It'll take care of everything from that image, putting it in the right folders, download the most recent update from GitHub, and get everything ready for you to play. You can even manage your saves from here and change to different forks depending on what you want to test out. And that really is the benefit of something like Goopie Launcher. Trying to figure out what to do with the Xbox 360 files, getting them in the right place is what stumps absolutely everybody when it comes to these projects. GoldenEye 007, the 360 recap that I just recently talked about, I would say 9 out of 10 people had issues with the right file set and then figuring out where to put it. And even though the GoldenEye 360 recap isn't included in Goopie Launcher, basically all of these projects have a similar setup process, and it really is one that seems to get everyone kind of stumped. So hopefully Goopie Launcher in the future, and developers, if you're listening, I'd love to see it, start including more of these projects if that is what your ethos is, because there's probably another dozen good titles that you could pop in here. But for what is included, I tested every single game to make sure it did launch, and I had no issues whatsoever with anything other than Cameo, because there is a static recap out right now for Cameo, but I tried it both standalone as well as the launcher, got all the files in the right place, checked the logs to make sure that they were ingested correctly, and every single time the game starts to launch, it just crashes on both my Windows 10 and Windows 11 PCs. So honestly, I'm sure that is an issue with the recap, not a knock against it, it is still in active development, but it's just the only title I couldn't get running through this launcher. But honestly, I would say my favorite's gotta be Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, because not only does this run better than Xenia, it actually has improvements over Xenia, because you will see in some of the games it'll say Xenia Enhanced. That means the developer has gone in and made modifications to that code, as well as static recompiling the PowerPC code to give you a better experience. That's what I'd love to see more with RexGlue in the future. Developers going in and actually making the emulation on the Xenia side of things better alongside the static recomp. But here's our first soundtrack sample, just because the music in Viva Pinata is so good and so charming, and I'll be right back to talk more about this launcher.
You are doing very well.
So going from the peaceful world of Trouble in Paradise to the absolutely violently chaotic world of GoldenEye 007, the Project Bean static recomp is not included in this launcher, but I would love to see it get included, but it is included on GitHub Launcher. So that's why I've done a video on both of these, because there is some overlap between both, and there's some games that one will include but the other one won't. And that really is kind of interesting. It's one of those things, you might have to have more than one tool to get the job done, but it definitely, again, is beneficial, and I would love to see Xbox 360 static recomps using RexGlue maybe get a little bit of a cleaner installation process in the future, or maybe some better GitHub notes, because again, I get so many comments and requests for help to help people and explain to them how you actually get these things set up, because it really is more difficult dealing with disk images than when you're dealing with something like N64 static recomps or source ports, where you just give it one file, it ingests it, and you're off to the races. Because you have to remember, the Xbox 360 really is just a PowerPC PC in a box, and the disk architecture and structure of the files there completely different and requires more managing. But moving over to the Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts static recomp, this is one that is performing better than the last time I took a look at it, but it isn't still perfect. So what I want you to take away from this video as well is that every single static recomp is going to run at 100% full speed, because they are still in active development. Because honestly, RexGlue hasn't been out for all that long, and even though it's showing a lot of promise, these projects are still in some way, shape, or form still in the development phases. Something like Trouble in Paradise running absolutely well. The GoldenEye Xbox 360 recomp, I would say, is a 10 out of 10, but something like Lollipop Chainsaw, that is definitely going to have some hitching here and there in some of the loading. Hopefully that can be improved in the future, but I just kind of want to set your expectations and make sure you temper them so you don't think you're going to go in and get everything at 4K 60 and then be disappointed out the back end. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, if you could snap your fingers right now and make one perfect Xbox 360 recompilation show up, which one would it be? For me, and I know for a lot of people, that would definitely have to be Ninja Gaiden. Absolutely an amazing game, and the Xbox 360 version is still, in my opinion, the best way to play it, because the remake changed a little bit too much up compared to the original. And we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more Xbox 360 recomps in the future, and that is why launchers are important, because I mean this in a nice way, not a negative way, but most of the GitHub notes on how to actually get these things running, they are just not comprehensive enough for your average everyday person to be successful. They are written by somebody who knows how the process works, and they basically just gloss over the directions. But me personally, I have a background in education, in film production, and entertainment business law, and I always structure my overall course so that I am explaining things to people who don't know how to do it, because you can never anticipate that the person you're talking to knows everything you do, so these launchers definitely ease that burden. So hopefully in the future, some of the developers on these keep that in mind when they actually write the notes, so they need to write them for people who basically have no idea what they're doing versus people who worked on the projects in and of themselves. But let's do one more soundtrack sample, going back over to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts so you can hear the audio quality, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more. I mean, it sounds like nuts and bolts to me. If you never played, that static noise you're hearing is in the original game on Xbox 360 hardware as well, so it is doing the correct thing. And even if nuts and bolts might not be finished, and a lot of these recomps are still in development, and even if Goopie Launcher doesn't include them all, it'll still get you into games easier, because the reality situation is all of this is still new in 2025 and now 2026. Static recomps, PC ports, everything like that. So these tools are going to evolve alongside these projects. And one of the projects we talk about, you have builds out there that you can play around with and test, but they aren't quite done yet. but anything that's going to make it easier for you guys to play these projects is something I'm going to talk about on the channel. And what I really hope for Goopie Launcher in the future is it just starts including every single Xbox 360 static recomp, because the launcher does an incredible job of getting you into the game quickly with no issues whatsoever. It just needs to include more games in there, but it is a fun tool. A couple people asked me about it, and now you're watching a video on it. Short of that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, but otherwise we're done. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.